It's knowing that your door is always open and your path is free to walk. It makes me tend to leave my sleeping bag rolled up and stashed behind your couch. It's knowing I'm not shackled by forgotten words and thoughts and the ink stains that have dried upon some line. That keeps you in the back roads by the rivers of my memory. That keeps you ever gentle on my mind. It's not clinging to the rocks and ivy painted on their columns now that bind me. Or something that somebody said because they thought we'd fit together walking. It's not knowing that the world will not be cursing or forgiven when I walk around the railroad track and find that you're moving on the back roads by the rivers of my memory, and hours you're just gentle on my mind. Though the wheat fields and the clotheslines and the junkyards and the highways come between us, and some other woman's crying to her mother 'cause she turned and I was gone, I still might run in silence, tears of joy might stain my face, and the summer sun might burn me till I'm blind. But not to where I cannot see you walking on the back roads by the rivers flowing gentle on my mind. I still might run. I dip my cup of soup back from a gurgling, crackling cauldron in some train yard. My beard a rustling towel and a dirty hat pulled low across my face. Through cup hands round the tin can, I pretend to hold you to my breast and find that you're waiting from the back roads by the rivers of my memories, ever smiling, ever gentle on my mind. Top of the evening to you on this Monday night, the 21st day of August 2023. It is not every night that I get such a blast from the past like I've got tonight. And I got to introduce him the right way. This is the financial advisor to Bernie Madoff. This is the speechwriter for George MacArthur. This is the speechwriter for Dwight L. Patton. And I think he was the Dwight. I don't know what his name was. But this is the one and only, James R. of Pirate Radio, my co-host, my brother from another mother. How are you doing tonight, man? It's been a while.
Aloha, brother. It's great to be with you. It has been a while, man. It's been far too long. I think the last time you and I got together, they were bombing some more brown people somewhere. So it's good to be with you again.
That is exactly right. We were concerned about North Korea one night, and we were up late. I think it was midnight, and you was 6 o'clock in the dinner time zone in Hawaii, man. It's good to see you tonight. It's been a crazy few years for me, and we're going to do this more often as we go forward in the election year, and I'm going to be visiting you back on Pirate Radio soon. I'm going to just show up one night unannounced. That's usually when I do my best shows, when I don't announce I'm coming. But man, it's good to see you. It really is. We got you on phone tonight, and look, I know you're working. It's just a pleasure to have you. Look, we go back a long way. We worked on the same network. We've got some of the funniest stories together. We've had some wild shows, both on Pirate Radio, on the McFiles, on that network. I guess, what was it? Your Voice America, the Toilet America show? I don't know, but something like that.
Yeah.
But we had a really good time that night. We'll have to share that story sometime. Hey man, on a serious note, let me just say thank you for being with me. You're coming on tonight. I wanted to talk to you about several things. James, before we get going, I do want to put a tweet up that you put up just a few days ago, and I'm going to read this. And by the way, nice picture there with the Hawaiian shirt and the Pirate Radio thing. I like that, man. You look sharp.
Thanks, brother.
They said you got a face for radio, though. I don't know if Tina said that or somebody else said that, but I'm just saying. But
it's a vicious rumor, bro. It's a vicious rumor.
Is that just vicious rumor? Okay. James R. This is James R. That's why I love the man. This is why he's my buddy, and this is why we're friends, because I can get the truth from James R., and he's one of the most astute political minds I've ever had in my life, seen and heard. And he wrote this two things. He said, how do I know the bean photo is 100% fake? As it relates to Maui fire, the sky is completely wrong for both the time of day and the conditions, not to mention that I have a functional brain, as only James R. can say. I love it. And then he did this at Poop Tossing Ape. I'm not even going to ask who Poop Tossing Ape is. But he says, taking advantage may come down the road. There may be ghouls in the government already thinking about how to take advantage of the tragedy, but that is not the same as creating the tragedy. Very wise wisdom from the one and only James R. Buddy, question, $1 million question. You're there on the island. Now, you're not on Maui, but you're right next door. Separate fact from fiction, what you're hearing out there compared to what you know what's happening. And I know that, James, I think we're going to both agree on this, that we're not dumb. Me and you are not dumb people. We don't believe that there's not nefarious people in the government. We don't believe there's not nefarious people out there that would do some crazy, wicked, evil stuff, bro. We've been together 7 years doing stuff and shows together. We've seen some evil, wicked stuff. You know, we've heard about some evil, wicked stuff. But some of this stuff gets to the point people start speculating and throwing crap on the wall about it. And there's so much confusion about it, and I'm just sort of sick of it. And that's one reason I sort of reached out to you. It couldn't have come at a perfect time. Because, I said, I finally read somebody that's got a functional brain for a change. Talk to us about what's fact and fiction about the Maui fires.
I appreciate that, Chris. Yeah, I've done many spaces, a couple podcasts as well. I've been covering this story with people, real people, on the ground, eyewitnesses, eyewitness cell phone video. All of my information is being verified by the government, not the other way around. So that's very important here, is because, since day one, I've tried to explain what we know in our minds happened. Now, let me put it out to you like this. First, I'm going to give you what my narrative is on the chain of events, and then I'll kind of cover a couple of the more illustrious, we'll call them, conspiracy theories through your questions and whatnot. So basically what we're fairly certain of is that the power lines went down, sparking a fire. The reason I say that, we have a guy runs out of his house, there's the down power line, there's the fire. And he says, wow, power line just went out, there's a fire. So that's number one. Number two is the conditions and the topography on the ground is where people make a huge mistake, is not understanding that the conditions on the ground were such that we had downwinds, in other words, coming straight down this face of those mountains to the east of Lahaina at a sustained over 60 miles an hour. There's some speculation between 60 and 80 miles an hour. So I'm just going to use the lower number of 60 miles per hour coming straight down the face of that mountain, going straight to the ocean, straight through Lahaina. This created a blowtorch effect. The fires were moving at 60 feet per second. Their firefighters themselves ended up surrounded by fire. They were trying their best to make a couple of different setback points, and every time they made a new stand, that new stand ended up, the fire would move past them before they could even get out of harm's way. So this was very quick moving fire, blowtorch stuff. Lahaina itself was the entire town full of very old, dry wood electrical poles that were soaked in flammable liquid. I'll remind everybody, because whether you choose creosote or pitch, both of those are flammable material, as well as all of the dwellings. Very many of them were 1800s, early 1900s building with zero setback and no easement between properties. So this is what creates some very dynamic fire conditions. So you had that blowtorch event that basically went straight through Lahaina, straight to the ocean. Now, I want to be clear for your audience, because I've covered this since day one. We know, and this is nothing's being hidden on these facts that a lot of people are saying are being hidden. They're not. Okay, we know there's over 1,000 people missing still.
Right.
We're fairly certain they're all dead.
Okay.
This includes massive amounts of children. We know for a fact entire families were incinerated together in their own living room. Parents, grandparents, children, everybody. We know there was entire families incinerated in their vehicles. We know that this occurred, okay? So nobody's hiding it. We're trying to keep people out of Lahaina because those ashes are our dead relatives. This is going to be, when this is all said and done, a top 10 worst fire in the entire history of the United States. Okay, that's how serious and significant this fire is. The official death toll will likely be over 500, but probably there's going to be, those other 400 people perpetually missing because they're not going to be able to identify them because there's nothing to identify. There's a couple of charred remains, and that's just the facts. This is a very, very bad situation that occurred. Now, there's another thing that should quell a lot of the conspiracy theories is that I want people to really understand that the officials in the government lost their homes and family members too. The police, the fire, the rescue personnel on the ground working this fire, they all lost their homes too. Like, this did not, there's no conspiracy that involves that kind of stuff, okay? It's just how we do things a little bit differently in Hawaii. And I'm not excusing how we do things, don't get me wrong. This is Democrat government malfeasance for decades, though.
Correct.
For decades. It's not something that happened yesterday. This took decades to create these conditions where this death trap really existed. It's very difficult to continually try to battle the morons on social media that continually try to perpetuate just complete falsities about what happened, when I have friends there on the ground. I have family members on the ground working. Another thing, people tried to say, like, these people are now starving and nobody's doing anything. All immediately, without government ask, all the business leaders here, we all sent people, supplies, immediately. One of our freight companies, well, all of our freight companies here, nobody was charging for freight. It was all free. But one of them, Aloha Air Cargo, put up a notice just days after they started it that said, we're sorry, but we don't have any place to put the stuff anymore. You guys have donated over 250,000 pounds of supplies, and our warehouse is stuffed full, and we're moving this stuff as fast as we can. So, the people on the ground are taking care of the people. Just want that out there.
Right. James, got a couple of questions already I want to ask you about. You mentioned the conspiracy theory about, I'm glad you brought up the fact about the government officials losing their family too, because, and I know, I've watched the same social media crap you have, and, I've tried to put myself in the people of Hawaii's shoes, and y'all got to be shaking y'all's head at some of this crap. But tell people why this theory that some of the elites' mansions were not damaged as compared to the poor people. I've been told that there's been a list along of people, and one of them, one rumor was the Obama's mansion. They don't even have a mansion on Maui. That's not where their house is. And the list is a mile long. Can you sort of dispel that crap rumor tonight and explain why that is, again, some of this crap that's going on and an insult to the real victims of Hawaii? Because what I'm hearing you say tonight, brother, you got over 1,000 people dead. You've got maybe 1,500 dead. These 1,000 people missing are never coming back.
Yeah, that's 100% right. They're never coming back. If they're still missing after 10 days, guys, they're not coming back. Okay, people drowned in the ocean. People died in the fire. That's just the facts. We are not going to find them, okay? But this is a complete myth about rich people's house not getting burned to the ground. Because of the blowtorch event that occurred at that moment in time, the fire was driven in a singular direction, and you can see it if you look at the map and you understand the topography of where those mountains to the east are. It's a very narrow stretch of land. The rich people's houses that were in that swath were burned down too. There is occasional houses speckled in there where the firefighters were making their stand and in conditions that were a little different, like newer dwelling with modern materials and metal shingles and roof instead of wood shingles. A lot of different variants to those properties like that. But those weren't the famous rich people's houses. The famous rich people's houses weren't in Lahaina. They were down the coast or up the coast in Ka'anapali or down the southern way. That path of totality is basically in one direction. That's what people need to understand. The mountains are what determine the direction of the fire.
Gotcha.
Nothing else.
Gotcha. I'm glad you said that, James, because that's topography, that's weather. Now, I did hear, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, was there a hurricane offshore that produced those winds, or was that just the some kind of weird? Because I know mountains. I live in the mountains here, and let me just remind folks that listening to me tonight from East Tennessee, we had a similar event here in 2014 in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, that basically 2/3 of the city went up in smoke because two kids were playing with matches in the mountains on a windy day. The fire started in the mountains of East Tennessee, came down the hill, literally unbridled, and tore up Gatlinburg, Tennessee. I mean, it literally destroyed rich, poor houses. It didn't matter. Gatlinburg shut down probably for 6 months after these fires. And you're talking about it being one of the biggest fires in the country tonight. That fire at Gatlinburg got national attention too, because at that time, that had been something I had never seen before, where a mountain fire just spread so rapidly down the mountain, James. And again, the direction of the wind made every bit of the difference. But it started with a bunch of punk kids basically smoking cigarettes and not putting their cigarettes out. And before they knew it, that fire was down. So I'm just curious, was there any other weather event that made that happen, or is it strictly just the way the mountain winds cause that fire to come from the east and just literally swamp that city?
No, that's an excellent question, and it's one that is being very misunderstood, and I'm glad you asked it. So let me set up the weather conditions. We have all the time a very high pressure system to the north of Hawaii, which is what feeds our trade winds off of. So that high pressure system is always there. We had Hurricane Dory coming through there, Dora, that created the wind conditions of a low pressure system to our south.
Gotcha.
What ended up happening was the convergence zone, where those two systems were buttoned up against each other right over that strip of Hawaii at that moment in time. So for the winds picked up as that hurricane and high pressure system got into a perfect alignment. And that's what created the downdraft. That's why the winds were going down at that position. And so they were riding the face of that mountain and turning with that with the topography of the earth that caused that blowtorch event. So it wasn't the hurricane providing the winds, it was the proximity of the hurricane providing the winds.
Gotcha.
And so that's why as the hurricane continues to move west, that's when the winds moved and turned away and went back to our normal trade wind direction, which is more to the southwest. west and less westerly.
Got you, buddy. But it just sounds like a perfect storm. I mean, it literally sounds to me like the conditions, that's one in a lifetime condition to call something like that. And I think that's a pretty fair statement, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's 100% right. And look, this is going to take forever to investigate. The books are not going to be closed on this story for a very long time. I'm talking years. It might be 10 years before we get the good documentary that spells everything out. Because first of all, they got to get this right. I mean, come on, there's over 1,000 people dead. Like, if they screw this up at all, and which they're already doing in many small ways, the public's not going to stand for it. The people of Maui, the people of the mainland United States, like, they all want answers, but we're getting those directions handled right now, and that's why a lot of the people are not understanding, how do you ask questions in Hawaii? And a couple mainland journalists figured out real quick that you better not come hard at local boy or shit might get sideways. Because a couple national media hosts got kicked out of the press conferences.
Good.
Right? For acting like rude jerks. Okay?
Yeah.
So, just saying, you got to understand Hawaii and how much reverence for our dead there is here. Like, you cannot talk to people like this. And the reason you can't go to Lahaina is because the ashes you're walking on are our dead relatives. Like, this must be understood, because that's what's causing a lot of the mistakes being made on Twitter and other social media, is that people don't understand the reverence here. Like, they're demanding to walk through all over these places, and the locals are like, you ain't walking down there.
Good.
Ain't gonna happen, bro.
Well, it is disrespectful, James. Look, my heart is broke watching some of the images come out of there, but my heart is broke more for the disrespect of social media here in America and all these weird, wild theories that some of them are just, as you said in your tweet, and I'll what you said, man. I mean, my God, James, a functional brain, somebody with a functional brain could see some of this. I'm going to read that tweet again. I mean, the beam photo is 100% fake as it relates to the Maui fire. The sky is completely wrong for both the time of day and the conditions, not to mention I have a functional brain. Of all the theories out there, which one insulted you the most? That one, to me, was the most hideous. I'm like, folks, I mean, who in the right mind would believe that a foreign nation would take a sky beam and burn a city in Hawaii down? I mean, and again, we have, suspend reality, which a lot of people do, James, these days. And that's what's driving me nuts with our side of the equation. Because this ain't the left doing this crap. It's the right side doing this crap, right?
Yeah, both sides are making huge mistakes. You got the left that's claiming it was climate change when these are normal August dry conditions for us, number one. And then you've got the right that's over there saying fucking Jewish space lasers is fucking wiping out Hawaii. Like, they act like we're not fucking smart enough to talk to our neighbors and see with our own eyes what the conditions are and what's happening on the ground. Like, we're the people here. Maybe you should listen to us and stop listening to some guy in fucking Maryland somewhere in his fucking basement that's trying to spin up some shit that doesn't make any sense to anybody. Like, I apologize for all the cuss words, because I know your audience hates it when I do that, but I get very passionate, especially about this subject. And I'll say this, you asked the question, the thing that really pisses me off the most is that people are acting like we're hiding our dead children.
I've heard that too.
I want you to really,
I've heard that too.
I just want you to think about that statement, that we Hawaiians would want to hide that we have 5, 4, 3, 200 dead kids here. Like, I just told you from day one, I've been reporting, entire families were incinerated. We live multi-generational here. We don't have latchkey kids that are home alone just playing games in general. Of course it happens, just like everywhere. But we live with our grandparents. We live with all of our family, aunties, uncles, neighbors. Everybody's around. In fact, I know one story where a local resident was running out of the fire, grabbed a 2-year-old from the side of the road and hoofed it with her. That 2-year-old probably lost her entire family. The whole thing's wiped out. Okay? The tree branch, roots, everything. Why would we be hiding our dead children from you?
No reason.
We know that it makes no sense. These people are demanding numbers from the government that they could not possibly know. We're only at 85% searched now, and 15% that's left is the buried deep underneath everything. So it's going to take forever. There's no possible way the government could have the numbers. We have the numbers because we know who we're looking for. We know who we're reporting as missing. We know who we're reporting as living right there. We know who our dead are. And we haven't been hiding it.
I know, buddy.
These people, it's so angering to locals here to think that the people of Hawaii would be hiding the numbers of our dead.
I know, buddy. I'm with you. And I don't even live there. You live there. This is your home, James. And in all your years there, have you ever seen anything like this?
Oh no. This is a once in a lifetime type of tragic event that people still talk about, the Great Fire of Chicago. By the way, we have more dead than the Great Fire of Chicago. Okay? Like, the only fire, in my opinion, if the numbers stay true to what it is, 1,000 missing, those numbers put us as the number 2 most deadliest fire in the United States history, only eclipsed by the wildfire in Wisconsin that took out 2,500. Okay, so I want you to understand how devastating this event is. This is worse than anything when it comes to fire. I get it. We've had 9/11, much worse, 3,000 dead people. Maybe Hurricane Katrina. But when it comes to a fire event, this is the big boy. And this is the kind of thing that's going to teach people lessons for a long time to come. So, is there a lot of malfeasance? Yes, but
let's talk.
It's not conspiracy theory stuff. Go ahead.
Let's talk about that a minute. In your opinion, the government on the state level, because and you said it right, and there's no hiding the fact that if you live in Hawaii, we got a listener, I think Susan Beckett's in the house tonight. She lives over there, and I've got a few other listeners that tune in from Hawaii, and I'm very aware of how blue the state is. I mean, it's a tremendously blue state. On a scale of 1 to 10, I want you to rate your governor's response to this, your local response. Joe Biden just showed up today, I understand, for the first time in 2.5 weeks, and what his response has been, if any. And, you can tell me how you feel about it.
Yeah, so let me say this to make sure your audience understands, because there may be some new people that don't know me. I am ride or die with Trump. Okay, there is absolutely no doubt in my mind what must occur.
Come on, buddy.
Again, I ride or die. Okay, but I got to tell people, you're taking the wrong tact when you're attacking Joe Biden for doing nothing in Hawaii. In fact, you could argue that he's already done way too much. And by showing up in Maui and screwing up the people's roads, not understanding that, there's one airport on Maui, one. So he screwed up all the air traffic there, number one. Number two, he shut down all the major arteries of travel for the entire island because of the nature of where the airport is and where he's going. Number two, people don't like that. Number three, he can't do anything but make a photo op for himself that he hasn't already done. They immediately approved the governor's ask within 6 hours. They've given the emergency money immediately out. They had FEMA on the ground doing everything that they can do from a federal government standpoint. So if anything, the argument should be that he's done too much, not too little. He may have obviously should have been talking about it, though. He should have not been commenting press conferences. He should have been saying this is a tragic event. We got to do everything we can for the people of Hawaii. I've been in constant contact with the governor there. We know that there is 1,000 or more missing people there. We've sent every available resource. We pledge all additional funds that they need to rebuild the state of Hawaii. Like, these are the things he should have been doing, is press conference talking about it instead of all these no comment stuff. But coming here, he just made things worse, because now people couldn't get supplies and food today because all the one main road that goes into that area completely sealed off because he had to go visit.
I thought about that all day, buddy. Not to interrupt you, I'm going to let you keep going, but I thought about that all day when I said, this is not the time for that. And I'm with you. All he had to say was take 5 minutes over here and give condolences to the family, express concern and deep concern for the safety of the firefighters, deep concern for the loss of life, deep concern for the state, pledge federal money, because he's throwing crap Ukraine money like Monopoly money. He can sure throw a few bucks to Hawaii. And that's another question I want to ask you. How bad does it piss you off that you got $200 billion going to Ukraine on the same week? Y'all get, what, $100 million maybe, if that?
Yeah, there's a lot of people angry about that around the country. Right now, I got to be honest, the people of Hawaii, they're not even focused on that. We honestly are focused on finding our dead. We honestly are focused on feeding the people that have been displaced from their homes, making sure that they're sheltered and taken care of in a long-term solution. One of my good friends, Byron Yap on Maui, who's on Maui, working with kingscathedralchurch.com. So it's actually kingscathedral.com. They are 100% proceeds going to the victims here.
Okay.
They are spending the money leveling their 11-acre lot to put in long-term tiny homes for the survivors to stay in until they can rebuild their properties. So, the people locally here are focused on taking care of our people. We're not focused at all on what politics are going on over the event and all of that. So the dissatisfaction from locals is completely targeted on our local government. It has nothing to do with the national, except for today. After today, Biden made it worse in a Democrat state where the Democrats are telling him don't come. He still shows up.
Still shows up.
So I just want to be clear, this was the worst move he could have made.
Yeah.
Up until now, locals have been dissatisfied with only local government. Now they're going to be dissatisfied with the feds too.
What's the local government not doing? Go ahead and continue your statement. I didn't mean to interrupt you because I wanted to interject that, but keep going, because the state and the local government is really where the response needs to come from right now, correct?
Yeah, so the thing about what the locals government here are having, problems doing is accounting for the people that are missing. And so that's a concern for the locals. Allowing people to put their dead to rest, so to speak, right? That they're not sending the right signals or direction here. And look, I want to say this as clear as I can. The people of Maui are traumatized. Okay, they just are. So no matter what you hear coming out from the locals on Maui, just keep that in mind and tinge that. Because I seen one of the videos that one of the locals put out was used to sell more lies to people on the internet. And it really makes me angry because they chopped off the end of what he said. And that was the key, is that he was so dissatisfied with the government and their lack of getting supplies to them and delaying everything. And so at the end, he admits himself that they are getting the supplies. He's just dissatisfied with the timing because it took an extra day, in his opinion, for them to get the supplies they needed. But the supplies were getting there. That was used to turn into no supplies are getting to the people. Everybody's starving to death and the government doesn't care.
I heard that.
That's not what happened. It just isn't what happened. We're trying. It's a very difficult position because the one road in, which we call the upper road going in to the Lahaina area, feeds the upper valley that survived, and it allows the shortest distance of travel to the Ka'anapali side of Lahaina. And so it was restricting getting people supplies there. Why? Because the first day that they let people bring supplies to people, those idiots went down to Lahaina like looky-loo tourists walking all over the dead people. So they screwed it. That's what happened. That's the conditions on the ground. That's what's making the delays, is they're trying to do everything they can to get in there. And that's why I said it's important. My friend, Byron Yap, kingscathedral.com, they're taking care of the local people from the local perspectives, making sure everybody's taken care of.
And I'm going to just encourage our people tonight. One of my moderators in Facebook, now we don't have the chat up in the YouTube, we will in a minute, kingscathedral.com. Please put that in the chat tonight, because I wanted people to go and donate, because that's you led me to my next question. You was reading my mind, Mr. James R., because I was going to ask you what is the best thing that we here in the mainland can do for Hawaii right now, other than pray, because I'm getting a lot of that in the chat tonight. We're praying for you, and a lot of people have seen this. As some California folks that have seen this in California. Look, the whole nation, James, right now, we got fires breaking out all over the place here. We got them in Spokane. We got them up in British Columbia. We got them in New Jersey, I heard today. California's underwater. An earthquake hit yesterday. This earth is shaking, bro. It's just shaking. And these things happen. This is natural events that are shaking in these times that we're in. But the human loss of life gets always lost in these crap Twitter feeds that you just want to reach through the freaking camera and slap the living turd out of these people. Like, do you not have any respect for the dead? Do you not have any respect for the people of Hawaii? Do you not have any respect for the people that are suffering and hurting? Because, see, I'm hearing it in your voice, buddy. This is y'all's heritage. These people that died are your neighbors. These are your friends. And Hawaii people, Hawaiians, care about that. Unlike we do here in the States, that we just... we don't even have time to sit down on the front porch and talk to each other anymore. But this is not like it is over there. Your culture over there, this is going to hit hard for years to come at the loss of life and the loss of things that have taken place. Correct?
Yeah, this is going to be one of those events we talk about like Hurricane Nikki forever. This has greatly impacted the local people, and more so, I want to say the native people as well. This is a very local area. This place was steeped in rich tradition and history. We lost cultural artifacts that cannot be replaced that were centuries old. This was the original seat of the Royal Hawaiian family for the entire state of Hawaii, when it was the Kingdom of Hawaii. This has history there that cannot be replaced. We have many people that have visited our islands are very familiar with the 150-year-old banyan tree in the center, in the heart of Lahaina. It was burnt to a crisp. It may not recover. The odds are basically a toss-up, 50-50. The trunks are still alive, but the entire canopy is dead. So, this is things that are of cultural, historical significance to us. Like I know it doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but the tree is the symbol of those people's lives that were lost. It's the heartbreak of our community. And its rebirth, if God grants that to happen, will also be the symbol of the rebirth of the people of Lahaina. So you can follow the history of what's going on with the tree to understand what's going on with the people. And that's a really important aspect that I hope I conveyed and did justice to my fellow Hawaiians that are listening.
But I think you did. I I feel it, and I think you did more than that. Couple of quick questions. A couple of more things about your governor. You mentioned the local response. Has the state response been any better than the local?
No, not really. In fact, he's stepped on his potato, I'll call it, for your audience, many times. And that's what's causing more of the rumors and innuendo and conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
So, this idiot decided to say, and I want to explain this because I think I have, but I think I've set it up correctly for everybody to understand. But let me put this in context. The people of Maui are not going to allow anything to occur in Lahaina that they don't want to occur. And I can illustrate this in a couple different ways, but I'll choose the telescope on the Big Island. People spent $1 billion on a telescope, and those people said, nah, you ain't building it. I don't care. I don't care that you've already spent $1 billion. It ain't going up. And it ain't up. Let me tell you. So I want you to understand that the warrior spirit here of the people, they're not going to let foreigners take predatory actions and take their land and do whatever they want with it. Now, the governor took that sentiment and he said something very stupid. And he said, we're not going to let foreign investors come in and take in a predatory manner our people's land, so the state will take it itself. And maybe we'll turn it into green spaces and a memorial to the lives lost here. Those words are being taken as, see, the government killed everybody, the government's taking the land, and they're going to build 15-minute cities. I promise you this, and I will bet my reputation on this 100%, that they're not building no 15-minute city in Lahaina. Because the people of Maui are not going to let a 15-minute city get built there.
Gotcha.
It's not going to happen. So that was the first stepping on his potato. Then the second stepping on his potato was the very next press conference, because he says the AG is informing we can't interfere with these private transactions. So now what I'll promise you is that the state will not be issuing any permits to people who bought the land. Well, now he's stepping on his potato again.
Right.
That ain't American. You're telling me the government is going to interfere with private business again. Like, it's my property. It's our land. We get to do what we want, not you. And so when you look at the overall actions of the government, they're problematic because you hired retards. This is what people know. When you put retards in office, you're going to get retarded actions.
So, sort of like the American government, right, bro?
No difference, bro. No difference.
No different, man. I'm glad you said Trump or die, baby. I'm with you in that boat. We in that boat together, man. We in that boat together. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to sort of, I'm going to do something here on the e-network, because I want people to chime in a little bit tonight. If you'll give me 1 second. If you're on Facebook tonight, if you're just joining us, folks, we got my dear buddy. He is more than my buddy. He's my brother. And I tell you, I am just so tickled tonight to have my buddy James R. And we're going to be doing this a lot more as we get into the election season. We're going to be doing a lot more shows together. We've got a great audience tonight. My goodness, a lot of crowd for us right now these days. But if you got a question for James, and please, folks, keep the questions on the subject tonight. I'm sure he'll be glad. I've got him for about another 15, 20 minutes. And just keep it on subject. And, James, while they're putting their questions in there, I do want to ask you if you've got an opinion. If you've got an opinion about the Trump indictments. I haven't been able to follow too much lately because I've been dealing with some things I've had to do, and I've not been following social media the last week. But have you got any sense of look, I'm with President Trump. I don't care what happens to him. He's still going to have my vote. I don't care if he's got orange clothes on or what. You know, the orange jumpsuit to go with the orange hair. I'm still going to vote for him because I ain't voting for any of these other rhinos. That's just me, man. But do you think these things are going to even stick? I don't think anything's going to stick. I mean, I'm just curious how you feel, because I know you look at these things very objectively, and I respect your opinion quite a bit.
Yeah, so let me say from the outset, because people may get confused by the things I'm going to say, I agree with you, Chris, that I don't think anything's going to stick at the end of the day. But having said that, I want people to understand that this is very dangerous for Donald Trump here.
It is.
Because they're going to be using every unethical maneuver they possibly can to put him in prison, because they hate this man, and they hate each and every one of you listening to the sound of my voice so much that they will violate your rights. They don't care what it does to this country. They didn't concern themselves with how this is going to outcome, because here's the state of the facts, is that no matter what the outcome of any of these cases are, about half of the country is going to be pissed off. Because if Donald Trump gets away with it, the left is going to lose their shit. And if Donald Trump gets convicted, the right is going to lose their shit. There is absolutely no middle here. There is only one pressure relief valve that I can currently imagine in these entire situation, and that is for Joe Biden to do something that he is completely incapable of, and that is actually use a noggin, to actually think and say, you know what? Why are we going to burn America down? Let's pardon Donald Trump and make all this go away for the good of the country. That's the only pressure relief valve available, because anything else, it is not likely to go well when all this is said and done. Because I've looked at every single instance. There is no hard crimes here whatsoever. They're charging him with non-crimes and making them crimes. They're charging him with doing his job. I mean, I don't know about you, but the last time I did my job, I didn't go to jail for doing it. And that's what these people are trying to do to this guy. I mean, it is an absolute mess. And here's what we just got done talking to some people on the internet, and from a leftist. I want this to be clear. It was a leftist that said the same thing I said, is that if you're going to bring charges against Donald Trump, they better be rock solid. They can't be this he said, she said, maybe this happened, kind of this happened, because you're destroying our country by doing this. And that came from a leftist, so there's hope. But he's one of the sane ones. Just trust me on that.
Right, exactly. Exactly, buddy. Hey, I got a good question for you, and it's not a bad question at all. I think William Whitt's asking any info on the Marines and the Red Cross and FEMA. Have they arrived there yet? Are you getting any help from the military, the FEMA people, Red Cross people with what's going on there yet?
Oh, yeah, they were on boots on the ground within hours. And this is, again, goes back to my statement that these people are using innuendo and they're attacking Biden for the wrong things. Like I said, Joe Biden approved Josh Green's ask within 6 hours. But more importantly, a lot of the people that were on the ground and lived there were military families or retired military. A Red Cross is often, and I've said this before, we all know Red Cross is a crappy organization as an organization.
Sure.
But the Hawaii Red Cross has always done a good job here. They are often on the fire scene before the fire trucks are done fighting the fire. Like, they do a good job here. So they've been on the scene since the immediate hours afterwards. There's everything that's being said about government not trying to do the right things is wrong. Everybody, because it's not because necessarily the government did the right things here. I don't want to send the wrong impression. It's because the people of Hawaii will always do the right thing without the government even asking us to do it, right? That's what the point was about the business leaders earlier stepping up and stepping in immediately. The government didn't have to ask the freight companies to help out. They just did it instantaneously. The government didn't have to ask people that owned restaurants or restaurant chains or bodegas to help. They just did it. They sent supplies. They sent personnel. It was instant. So, yes, the whole government, personnel-wise, has absolutely been boots on the ground from the moment that, this thing ended.
Yeah. Susan Beckett, she actually lives over there, James, and she's asking this. Any thoughts on the tsunami danger zone signs that she's seen in Honolulu in the last few weeks? She said one is about just a quarter of a block from her house. While she's asking that, I want to interject a question to you, and I was sitting here thinking about it as we were talking. I don't know what show we were on together. It may have been Pirate Radio one night, and it was during the Tulsi Gabbard time when she was... I don't know, I guess she's from Hawaii. Maybe you can help me refresh my memory with her and her connection to Hawaii. But y'all had a little scare a few years ago with the 911 system going off, thinking y'all were about to be nuked. And it turned out to be a fake 911, and it was traced back to her. And then this situation, I've heard a lot of conspiracy talk again about, why wasn't the 911 emergency thing activated? Speak to that a little bit, but Susan Beckett's question is not bad, because if there are tsunami warnings, or you got any thoughts about that? Because you're on that big island, ain't you? You're on the big island yourself, correct?
Well, I want to be clear. I'm on Oahu. Big Island is a different island.
Okay.
Oahu is our main island where I think it's about 80% of the population lives. The rest of the state makes up the 20%. And I want to be clear for your audience. This is not a city, okay? Our entire state population is about 2 million. You guys live in cities bigger than that, okay? Our whole state is about a 2 million population, and over half of them live on Oahu. The rest make up the other 7 islands, okay? So I just want to set the stage here. The entire island of Big Island and Maui, they're rural communities. They are small, connected rural communities, but they're rural nonetheless. So this is a town, and we should be using the right terminology to set the right photographic message to people of what to envision here. Like, this is not a city. This is a town of 12,000 that was affected. So you have to imagine that our resources for that entire island are rural, just like they are in your community, where you have, even volunteer fire departments, because your town can't afford, a paid. Now, thank God we can't afford them, but I'm just setting the stage for you guys. So, and here's the other thing that people don't understand about this fire event is that our airborne assets, which we normally would use to fight a fire like this, were completely grounded because the winds were so strong they couldn't get in. There's no way that the helicopters were even allowed to get airborne, let alone do any meaningful work there. And that's a big problem in Hawaii because we're used to going to the ocean, scooping up a million gallons and dumping it on fires. We couldn't do it in this case because of those winds. But back to the question on the tsunami warning system is that I actually agree with the governor here. This is one of those cases where in hindsight, you wish you would have done everything you possibly could to try to get people out of the area. But in reality, the population here, we hear the sirens, we run for the hills.
Right.
I mean, because we don't know if we've got seconds to live or hours.
Right.
We don't know when that tsunami was picked up. And if you live in a low-lying tsunami area, you better get out of that flood zone.
Exactly.
We all seen what happened to Indonesia when you don't get out of the way.
That's right,
It gets bad quick. So, it's it is a half of one, six of another, half a dozen here kind of situation.
Yeah.
Hindsight, you wish you would have done absolutely everything you could do. But in the reality, people that are sober-minded like me, looking at that situation, I'm saying, yeah, who knows if they would have even hit the right buttons? Because again, these people are so incompetent.
I agree.
They send out, nuclear missiles inbound. You're all going to die. And, this is our state.
I remember that night well, bro. We were on the air that night. I remember that really well. It was a few years ago. And I thought about you when I heard all this. I said, I can remember that night they were about to be nuked. And Tulsi Gabbard was out there saying, oops. That's a big oops, Tulsi. That's a big oops, Anyway, a couple of comments I want to read to you, man. Corey Aguilar, before I read the comments, one other question. How were the locals who were in the water rescued? That's not a bad question. How were the locals rescued from the water?
Basically, they climbed out on their own.
Okay.
That's 100% the answer. So basically, the only people in the water that we know of that survived because of the way that fire came in were in the small boat harbor. So it wasn't very difficult for them to get out, but essentially they climbed out themselves. I mean, of course, some people that showed up on the shore helped them and, human chain kind of stuff. But it's not, it wasn't rescue boats and all that kind of stuff because this is another thing that gets misunderstood by people is that it takes us 12 hours to get a barge from one island to the next. You can only steam at around 9 knots. Now, jet skis can get there quick, couple hours, because they can go 50 miles an hour roughly in ocean conditions that are low. But when you have high surf, if we would have tried to launch all of our small boat fleets, first of all, we would have never got there. Second of all, we would have actually removed our Coast Guard from the scene to getting over there to help because they would have been busy with all of the small boat distress calls that would have been generated because of the high surf, the high winds, and just general normal shit that goes wrong with a boat.
Right.
We're out in the middle of the ocean. Let's just face that. So, we did all we could, but following the watermen are like, I don't think you can understand what the term waterman means. But a waterman is basically a god of the ocean, okay? Like,
gotcha.
These are our Adonises, right? These are the guys that are, the shimmering warrior-type body physiques that do surfing and paddleboarding and jet skiing. And so those people stepped up big time for Lahaina right away. Next day, they were boating and jet skiing in materials to the shores in Lahaina by the next day to make sure people were taken care of. The waterman community here is huge, and they were on point with all of their stuff.
Yeah. We got some folks that are former Hawaiians really sending you a lot of good wishes tonight. Christine Wallace, was there any Coast Guard involved?
Yes, absolutely. They got there as fast as they could. But again, our Coast Guard airborne services could do nothing but stand and watch.
Gotcha.
Because we couldn't get them airborne.
Gotcha. Well, and again, James, these wind currents, people need to understand this is not, look, this is beyond rocket science. These were dangerous, dangerous conditions that developed. And, you know, and I love what Amy Botto says. Amy, it's so good to see you tonight. I haven't seen you in a while, and it's really good to see you in the house tonight. She says, you can believe what you want. Facts always stand up to BS conspiracies. And I think that's as well said statement tonight as I've heard anybody say, and a lot of people are grateful for you coming on and telling us really what's going on over there. We had one smart aleck a while ago about it was one smart fire doing this and that and the other. Well, you that believe it's one smart fire, go believe your BS conspiracies. I like what Amy says. Facts stand up, and you're listening to somebody that's there. They're not, as he said, some punk kid with pimples tweeting from his mama's basement with, no education and can't spell the word IQ from his basement, putting out a bunch of bullshit about what went on in Hawaii. I'm listening, and you're listening to somebody tonight that is there. And I think I will put my money on James R. 50 times and twice on Sunday, and that's Chris's word. Listen, man, I've got to ask you a few other things. I'm going to let you wrap us up. Listen, we got to do this again, man. This is like old times, man. This is like we got to stop. We got to stop waiting till the world's on fire and North Korea's about to nuke the crap out of us before we get together, man.
Well, see, that's the problem. That's why you're the captain. You only think about your mate over here when the world's on fire. The rest of the time, you're like, yeah, I got other things to worry about.
Well, you tell the pirate radio crew that the captain is about to make a comeback because it's time for all hands on deck. And if they're not. What is the pirate code? You know, it's like a set of guidelines. It's not really a code. It's like a bunch of guidelines. Well, you tell them the captain, they better get their something in gear because the captain's going to come kick their something if they don't get in gear because the captain will be back very soon. Because I've got off Geritol now and I can stay up beyond 9 o'clock and 10. The doctor's giving me permission to stay up a little bit later than 10 o'clock now, okay? So that should be awesome. That should be a good start, right?
Yeah, awesome. Hey, listen, while I got you, before we wrap up, I want to encourage you and your entire audience to go to West Palm Beach November 10th weekend for the Walk-A-Con Walk-Away event, 5-year anniversary, because all of us podcasters and hosts and space hosts are all showing up down there. I'm flying 6,000 miles to go. I hope to see you down there, and we all hang out and have a good time.
Well, buddy, I've been wanting to meet you for almost 7 years, and I'm grateful for that you're coming to the States, and I wouldn't miss that for a world. I will talk privately and get some details ironed out where you're going to be, and I'll see you. I'll see you in West Palm, man. That's great. I'm excited. Listen, we've kept you an hour and 15. I know you're at work today. James, I cannot tell you thank you enough for your time tonight. This has been very valuable, and I think that you've dispelled a lot. I think you have cleared the air for most. There will still be some jackanate moron out there that will listen to this, reject it, and believe the BS on Twitter and the BS on all these Telegram rooms, and if they want to, that's up to them. But you have set the record as straight as anybody, and I want to go out of here again, making it clear to everybody what you said at the very beginning. This started by a down power pole that caught the land, the terra firma, on fire, correct?
That is to our best estimates based on the video, eyewitnesses, and how things occurred and what the fire department experienced.
Okay.
That's it. But look, let me address that real quick.
Go ahead.
Because even if you want to say it was a space laser from wherever the hell you want to say it was from, okay, even if you still want to stick to that theory, that still wouldn't have burned out the homes in the way, the manner, and the direction that it did. Because without those specific wind conditions, without the specific topography of that, and this wasn't the only fire of the day. This was one of 5 fires on the island that day. So I just want to point out that the reason we have 1,000 dead people, no matter what started the fire, is because there was no way to stop the fire. It was traveling at 60 feet per second as a wild, raging fire, ate every bit of fuel in its path, and there was tons of fuel on that ground. And I'm telling you now, the people of Maui will never, ever let anything get built on their island they don't want built. That's just the people of Maui. They don't even like people from Oahu telling them what to do. You think they're going to listen to someone else? Jesus.
Good deal. Hey, do you, any truth to this rumor about the water being burned off? Somebody's asking that as we wrap this up tonight. Is that another Twitter crap theory?
Yes. No, actually, the water being shut off is a Maui problem, which is why I've said in the beginning and all through here that there are many government malfeasance issues.
Okay.
The Maui water being shut off is a very complicated issue. What you have over there is like a 10-year court battle from people over there that own the water rights, don't own the water rights, take the water rights. But there was an official that could have diverted water to Lahaina and didn't. That is a big deal that they did not release the water to fight this fire. The firemen did run out of water. So that is another point of government malfeasance. It's complicated because it's Maui, and it's not as straightforward as it may seem. But that water official still could have diverted that water to save that community and did not.
What about this Oprah buying all the land lie? I don't believe that. And again, they didn't even let her in. It's this horse crap. Thank you. It's rubbish.
Yeah,
it's rubbish.
They kicked her out. Let me be so clear as to tell you, the local people in Maui kicked her out.
Yes.
Of the shelter.
Yes.
Yeah, it's total horse crap. She tried to go in there for her publicity crap, and they're like, "Get out of here."
Like James R. does Chris all the time. If I come to Hawaii, that's what James is going to do. Get out of here, McDonald. You're not welcome here. I'm going to come see you in them islands one day. But listen, it is so good to have you on tonight. I swear, it's like we've been talking straight for 7 years without a break, bro. It's been perfect. And I'm going to have you on a lot more. We got this election coming up, and I really need you with this fight. And I know we need each other right now, and we got to fight this together, bro. Ain't many of us left out here fighting together, but we got to fight together. And I'm proud of you. And I will see you in November down in Florida. Can't wait to see you. Give Tina my best. Give that little one my best. We love you guys. We're praying for you in both the islands and especially Maui tonight. And I'm going to encourage our people. KingsCathedral.com, right?
KingsCathedral.com. Yes, sir. And thanks for having me. I love you.
Love you too, buddy.
You are one of my brothers, and we will see you soon.
Absolutely, James. I'll be in touch. Thanks again. Take care, bro. Good night. James R., everybody. Put some fire in that house for him. Is that a good man or what? I tell you what, you can't get much better than that interview tonight. What a way to start the week out, right? What a week. What a way to start the McFiles week out here on the E! Network. And if you just joined us late, you missed it, you'll have to watch the replay. I'm going to debate whether I'm going to leave this up tonight. But all I got to say is that you just heard the truth about what's going on in Maui. You're listening to things that somebody that lives there and has been there in contact. He's been covering this from the day it started. And I have been very disturbed by some of the stuff I've seen out there. And again, not knowing the truth about it, it's hard to distinguish between fact and bullshit sometimes. And let's just be frank with each other. Our side is just as guilty as the left as to promulgate and promote falsehoods. Because we've got our side, this attention thing that we are almost like ADHD. If we ain't getting attention, we got to make crap up so we'll get attention. We got to make crap up that we'll get hits on our YouTube channel. We got to make crap up so people will think we're in the know. And we got to make crap up so people are subscribed to our channels. Not caring that nearly 1,500 people may be dead. Again, in what James called tonight, one of the worst fires probably this country will ever see in its history. And it was a perfect storm, folks. Look, and again, as you heard him say tonight, I'm just reiterating some of the stuff he said. They're going to be investigating this for months. There still may not be any clear answers to this. And these smart alecks out here, well, it's just a smart fire. I don't know how it didn't burn this tree and didn't burn that house. Well, I tell you what, you're not a fireman. And you're not on the ground over there, and you wasn't there, so no, you don't know. And it would be best just to zip your mouth and respect the dead right now and respect the people of Hawaii and pray for them. And if you're so concerned about this smart fire, why don't you put your money where your mouth is and donate to the cause? You probably won't. But we're going to do that as a McFiles audience and a McFiles show. I'd never tell you to do something that I'm not going to do. But after the show, we're going to go online and we're going to make a donation to those families. And I encourage you to do the same tonight. If one of my moderators are out there tonight in the YouTube network, and also on Facebook, please put that in there, kingscathedral.com. It is the website where you can donate to these victims, folks, and it is a tragedy. I saw Carol, 808, Pianco, good to hear you tonight. I didn't realize you're from Hawaii, but she's from Hawaii. Susan Beckett's from Hawaii, James R. Julia Carter said she used to live there, and a lot of people are from there and have been over there. I've never been to Hawaii. I'd love to go one day and see those beautiful islands. I hear it's nothing like it. And our prayers are with the people of Hawaii tonight, folks. They truly are. And I appreciate you being with me tonight on this Monday night. I don't hardly have much else to say. I think James R. said it all. Me and him are going to get together, and we're going to do this again very soon. I hope you enjoyed him. Did you enjoy this interview? This is good stuff. This is why I thank you, Amy, for what you said about the mic. Who was it? Liz Goldman. Amy said some good stuff, but Liz Goldman said something. I want to just say what she said a while ago, and not to put roses on our head, but I think that it made me feel good that she said this, and if I can find that comment, she said, "This is why I only listen to the McFiles. Truth and honesty, so refreshing. So refreshing. Because you don't get bullshit on the McFiles. And you don't get conspiracy talk. You don't get conspiracy talk. You get the facts and the truth and nothing but the truth. So help us God. So help us God. So help us God." And Roberta, thank you for that. Check that spelling. Check that spelling on your word cathedral there. I don't think it's Cathadral. Check that for me, dear. Robin, good to hear from you tonight. Good to see Emily in the house. And James, thank you. James did clear up a bunch of rumors. I hope you listened to him. Most of you did. Most of you did. Most of you did. It is good, Carol, to hear the truth, isn't it? It's good. It was refreshing for me to hear it tonight. Because I've seen the same stuff that James has been watching. I've been watching all these things go on, and it's been very disturbing to watch some of the crap on the right. On our side and their side, the left side, posts stuff that's just not true. That's just not true. And thank you, Cleo, for that. And let me just do this. Let me put this in there. Oops, it's too much. Alrighty. It's King's Cathedral. Let me do this real quick before I leave tonight, because I want to make sure we got the right address so people will go to the right place. Let me make sure we got this. And yep, it is. This is the one. I'm going to put this in the YouTube. I've got it right there. There's the website right there. I just put it in there. James R. was a big help tonight, and it was a blessing to have him on tonight. Yes, it was, Joe. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Folks, give to the relief fund there, and whatever you feel led to do tonight, help them. They need it, and your prayers. Thank you for supporting the McFiles. When you donate to us, we donate back out to these ministries and these organizations, and you can find us at paypal.me/the McFiles. You can Zell us, chrismac44@gmail.com. We don't really talk about money during the week, but if you want to donate through us, we'll make sure they get the money. And we thank you for that tonight, and thank you for keeping our show going, because you get good content like you just got with James R. And me and him are about to join hands again like we used to do on a regular basis, and a lot of good stuff coming on this network, and I want you to stick around with us in the weeks and months to come. And we're grateful that you're with us tonight on this Monday night, the 21st day of August 2023. God's children. You like my hat? Got this in today. You like that hat? I like that hat. God's children. God's children. are not for sale. And by the way, folks, these children that are dying in Hawaii, they're not for exploitation either. They're not to be fodder for your YouTube, Telegram, Twitter, True Social bullshit nonsense. You insult these children who died. You insult these people who died. You insult these parents who died when you push falsehood on your social media program. And that's my final word tonight. And I'll amen myself tonight on this Monday night. Thank you, James R. I couldn't find my song to come in, so I had to play Gentle on My Mind. I'm going to go back out because Chris sang a country song one night. Eddie Cole recorded it, and it was pretty good. So I'm going to play it again as we go out of here tonight. And I'll see you tomorrow night on the E-Network. We'll see you in the morning on the Faith Network for our study, the Bible study. But tonight, it's about James R., and we're grateful for him, and we hope that you enjoyed him. Put some fire in that house one more time for me tonight. I'll see you later. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you, James R., my friend. Bless you, man. Love all the Hawaiians out there. We love Hawaii tonight. Our love and prayers.
It's knowing that your door is always open and your path is free to walk. It makes me tend to leave my sleeping bag rolled up and stashed behind your couch. It's knowing I'm not shackled by forgotten words and thoughts and the ink stains that have dried upon some line. That keeps you in the back roads by the rivers of my memory. That keeps you ever gentle on my mind. It's not clinging to the rocks and ivy painted on their columns now that bind me. Something that somebody said because they thought we'd fit together walking. It's not knowing that the world will not be cursing or forgiving when I walk around the railroad track and find that you're moving on the back roads by the rivers of my memory, and hours you're just gentle on my mind. Though the wheat fields and the clotheslines and the junkyards and the highways come between us, and some other woman's crying to her mother 'cause she turned and I was gone, I still might run in silence, tears of joy might stain my face, and the summer sun might burn me till I'm blind. Not to where I cannot see you walking on the back roads by the rivers flowing gentle on my mind. I dip my cup of soup back from a gurgling, crackling cauldron in some train yard. My beard a rustling towel and a dirty ad pulled low across my face. Through cup hands round the tin can, I pretend to hold you to my breast and find that you're waiting from the back roads by the rivers of my memories, ever smiling, ever gentle on my mind.